Hello everyone. Let us discuss about the arguments of Kyoto Protocol and Paris Climate Agreements. Okay, so to begin with, basically the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Climate Agreement are the two international treaties that aimed to address climate change. Right now, the Kyoto Protocol was adopted in 1997 and entered into force in 2005. It required industrialized countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emission by an average of 5% below 1990 levels by 2012. So this was the objective, right? Now, the Paris Climate Agreement adopted was much later, that was in 2015, and the objective of this was much more ambitious one compared to the previous Kyoto Protocol agreement. Okay, so here it tried to limit the global temperature rise to below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, with a further target of limiting it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The agreement also aims to reach net zero emissions by the second half of the century. So this goal of the Paris Climate Agreement is much more ambitious and, let's say, difficult compared to what was proposed in the previous agreement that was in Kyoto, that is the Kyoto Protocol. So these are the two basic aims or objectives, right? Now, let us discuss the status of this agreement, right, in respect to US, right? So the United States was a party to the Kyoto Protocol but withdrew from it in 2001. So we are talking about Kyoto of 1997, Kyoto Agreement, right? So United States actually withdrew in 2001. Now the US was also a signatory to the Paris Climate Agreement but announced its withdrawal again in 2017. However, under the President Biden's administration, the US rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement in 2021. Now, the carbon credits are a market-based instrument used to incentivize the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. So, a carbon credit represents 1 ton of carbon dioxide or its equivalent that has been prevented from entering the atmosphere or removed from it through mitigation or sequestration projects. Now, these credits can be bought and sold on carbon markets. Yes, so there is a trade between between carbons in carbon markets, and companies can use them to offset their emission by investing in projects that reduce emissions elsewhere. So carbon credits are intended to provide an economic incentive for companies to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions by allowing them to buy credits from companies or projects that have reduced their emissions. So the use of carbon credit is intended to create a market-based mechanism to reduce emissions rather than relying solely on regulations or subsidies. So this is one of the important type that comes under the environment management, climate management, and we have talked about Kyoto Protocol and Paris climate change with respect to US, as well as also the meaning of carbon credit that has become an important topic and important way of reducing emission, and not just by the government intervention.